Hello and welcome to what's going to be the last in our Meet the Lindens strand. We've had various Lindens come and talk to us for the last 4 days, so this is our 5th and final Meet the Lindens chat for SL13B, and I'm delighted that we have Patch Linden and Dee Linden to talk to me and Xander Green. I'm Saffia Widdershins, and welcome to you all the people who've come. It's great to see you.
Thanks, great for having us.
You saved the best for last, didn't you?
We did. Okay, well, I'd like to start off by asking Patch if you could tell me a little about yourself and how you came to work at the lab.
Well, I was originally a resident in Second Life and had been since 2004, and I owned a pretty early male clothing business in Second Life that was pretty popular back in the day. And through the years of me doing that, I took on different kind of volunteer efforts, such as being a mentor and running some other community events and stuff. Like I ran SL Pride one year, and it was through those efforts and stuff that I think I kind of got noticed by another Linden. In fact, it was Mick Linden at that particular time, and he reached out to me and said, "Hey, have you thought about applying?" So I went ahead and applied. Here I am.
But you've kind of advanced from doing the early jobs, I think.
Yeah, I started as a concierge tech support agent. That was my first position that I held. I worked my way up through the concierge team, eventually becoming the team manager. I did that for a few years, and then I switched over to being the support operations manager for about a year. After that, I actually left the support organization and went over to product, which is responsible for putting together all of the features and stuff like that we enjoy as Second Life users. Mm-hmm. And I built the land operations team, which kind of took more of a product operational support type of a role. And in that umbrella came the moles and the LDPW. And today, the title that I hold, and I was actually just recently granted by the wonderful team around me, is Senior Director of Product Operations. And I now also have the support organization reporting up under my umbrella as well.
Wow, I'm sure people will want to ask a few questions about that.
I welcome them.
Well, also with us today here on the panel is my personal hero, Dee Linden. Dee brings a background in both hospitality and the real estate industries to her work, and what a perfect combination to take on the role of a land operation supervisor for Linden Lab. And Dee, anytime anybody's introducing you, I understand the term "older than the terrain itself" gets used quite a lot.
Yes, quite a bit. There's land under my fingernails. Yeah, I worked for some realtors. And I worked as the concierge at a hotel, and then I found Second Life. I found Second Life in 2003. That's how old my alt is. Long before our gorgeous mesh bodies and beautiful hair. All we had was slider hair. Come on.
Well, you're one of the best friends that the nonprofits have in Second Life as well, and I say that from firsthand knowledge. And any chance to pick your brain and to get your support. You came out to Fantasy Fair this year in support of Relay for Life, and were kind enough to let us throw you in a jail cell and let us raise some money at your at your expense. So a belated thank you for that.
Oh, it was my pleasure. I love working with Relay. The Fantasy Fair is one of my favorite annual events. Of course, the birthday celebrations. my own actual birthday was just a couple of days ago, so it always feels like the whole week is for me. But yeah, 2002 started, and I think it was my second day when I said, yeah, I have to be part of this. This is my future. These are my people. And so I started dropping note cards on Shar and Haney and even Philip and saying, you will hire me, not will you please. It took a couple of years. I did. I stalked them totally. It took a couple of years before everything lined up just right where I could start. I did start as a liaison and then promoted into the concierge team and trained Patch when he showed up. So I take all the credit for his success.
I don't deny it.
See, there you go. He's totally not kicking me under the desk right now. So when he left support and started land operations, I fell back on my old note cards and I said, you will take me with you. And so he did. And here we are today.
So you actually look after people who need land for events and land for just general renting as well?
Yes, I do.
And I was going to pick up, you talked about the LPW patch. That's the Linden Department for Public Works.
Right.
Have I got that right?
The moles.
Yes, the moles.
The LDPW.
Yes, LPW. And they're actually residents, aren't they?
They are. They're resident contractors. They have been working for us. Actually, most of them have been working for us now for going on over 5 years. And the bulk of the team, the core team, is still together today. And we've added a good few, many more to that number. I think we're up to 22 now. And they run around and enjoy building experiences and fun things for residents to engage in world like Paleo Quest, and we've got a new big exciting project that's on the horizon here to probably come out in the near future that I'm not going to talk too much about, but there's something coming and it's going to be pretty big.
No spoilers, eh?
No, not really.
You almost heard it here first anyway.
Yes, almost. It's just around the corner on the horizon.
Now we know to keep our ears open anyway.
And it's exciting.
It is. It's a big project. It's I think the count of regions is somewhere above 20, maybe below 30, and it will be in addition to the mainland, and there is an actual gaming experience attached to it.
Interesting.
Wow. Yes. And how many sims is Paleo Quest, for example? I know there's 6, but there are several iterations, aren't there?
Well, the actual the region count itself for Paleo Quest is 6. It's the core gaming regions.
Yeah.
And there are I think we're up to 3 or 4 instances right now. Dee, you might have to correct me if I'm wrong, but we load balance the traffic across the region so that the gameplay remains smooth and stuff when it gets busy in the evenings, especially. Linden Realms actually is surprisingly the biggest experience still out there, and it's about double the size in region count, and we have the same amount of instances on it, and it sees about 3 times the amount of traffic that Paleo Quest still does today.
That's interesting. It's kind of built a big community around itself, though, hasn't it, with people who go and play there regularly?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of in-world groups that have formed up around it, of residents that just love playing the game and socializing and stuff while they run around and collect crystals and complete the quests and such. And it's actually really interesting in the rare occasion that we ever have a breakdown in the experience. We have to take it down and repair something and bring it back up. The amount of people that reach out to us and say, hey, what's going on, when's it coming back, and stuff. And we actually have to post, status blog messages and stuff, just because of the, pretty big following that it has.
That must be really gratifying to feel that you've kind of built a community like that.
Yeah, and a lot of the work that we do and a lot of the experiences that we build, that is one of our primary goals. We want to see people build up communities and enjoy what we do and socialize in them, have a good time, find something to spend some time doing, and really most importantly, to answer, probably the big golden question for us, which is, what is there to do in Second Life? And especially with new users, when they come in, we put these experiences out there so that they can go in and get a taste of the various things that they can do.
It's a great idea, an introduction to a lot of the different aspects that make the platform both unique and so strong.
Yep, certainly. And that's why we take so many different types of directions with them when we make them.
Dee, take us back. You talked about being around since 2003 for this 13-year run. Talk about having witnessed a lot of just core changes, not just to the platform itself, but to the entire culture of Second Life. Take us back to 2003 and some of your first impressions and how those have maybe evolved and changed as the platform has over these 13 years.
Wow, that's a big question. 2003, we were paying for teleports. We were paying prim taxes for every prim you had rezzed, and the higher up off of the ground that it was, the more you would pay per week.
Wow.
We also had the leaderboards back then. Back then, there was so much transparency between residents. Every week, you would see who has the most Linden dollars in the world right now. And I took a screenshot of the week that I was number one with 20,000 Linden dollars. That was huge. That was huge. But we're talking about, when there were 17 regions online.
I think you dropped that much by yourself at the jailing event at the Relay for Life Fantasy Fair, I believe. So
absolutely, yes.
She's been saving it all these years.
All these years, that's right. Yes, the interest on that must have gotten really sweet after all that time.
Wow.
Amazing.
The idea of leaderboards, I hadn't actually heard there were such a thing before.
Yep. There were who has the most calling cards. That was one of the leaderboards. Who has the most land. But like I said, the one with the most money, that was, oh my God, I made it. I'm the richest woman in Second Life. So I took a picture of it.
How long did you hold the top slot?
For maybe a week.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
You must have got an awful lot of primitively hunky avatars following you around for that week.
It wasn't really like that so much back then. I'm not going to say there weren't a lot of residents, but there were rarely a lot logged in at the same time. So we all knew each other really well.
Mm.
And it's not just the technical underlying nature, the architecture, if you will, of the platform that's grown and changed so much. It's a cultures have changed. These communities that have sprung up. You've really been in a unique position with your work in the land operations to really watch as that's happened, as these communities have sprung up and evolved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have, and I love seeing that some of those earliest communities are still active and are still just as much involved now as they were back in 2003, 2004.
Mm. That is great. So, Patch, can I ask you what aspects of the job do you enjoy most? Because you've got quite a wide-ranging job.
Wow. I mean, I love everything I do. I think that's core to keeping, somebody engaged and very happy with what they do. Is making sure that they also love what they do is very important. And I I can say wholeheartedly that I do. And the biggest thing that I think I hold near and dear to my heart, and I will say this, and I've said it I think in the past, is I walk in the residents' shoes as part of my job every day. I make sure that everything that we do is taking everyone's viewpoints into account, because I was a resident myself, and I think that gives me a very unique view and the empowerment to be able to affect decisions and stuff that may change the course of Second Life as a platform. And I give it 100% of my best every day to make sure that we're making the right decisions. So when I think about what I love the most about what I do, is being able to know that I can have a positive influence and impact on Second Life as it continues to go forward.
That's great. You were actually, I mean, you were a very active resident back in the early days, weren't you? Didn't you have one of the earliest male clothing stores?
I did, and I was also one of the original, one of the first original actual Second Life brands. It's in the wiki as such. Yeah, so I won't give away any more than that. I do tend to draw the line between association of alts, but yeah, if you were ever stumbling around in the wiki, there's a small list of us who were kind of the core founding original Second Life brands with trademark names and stuff, and you can find that list, and I'm one of those. Right,
but do you get much chance for that kind of creativity these days?
Yeah, well, yes, but not necessarily in the same sense. A lot of my creative focus and energies go directly into the experiences and stuff that we create. In fact, the experience that we're working on now, being as big as it is, has a huge amount of my creative influence going into it. A lot of the artwork, the concepts, the even the theme and the name, I can say all came from my bucket of things that I like to tend to pull out of creatively. So all good stuff. Unfortunately, I don't do a lot personally anymore for myself or my store. In fact, if you go to my store today, it's like stepping back into a time machine, because it's pretty much been sitting the same way since 2008. But I like it that way, right? It's when I do log into my resident alt, I get to go back there and reflect upon the great history that I've had as a resident, and remember what it was like back then. And a lot of my designs and stuff like that were pretty timeless, so they're not necessarily totally out of date.
That's cool.
I'd like to hear from Dee as well on that. Favorite, most inspiring aspects of your work in the land operations.
Wow, I love creating islands. When it comes to building, I can barely put 2 cubes together.
I'll high five you on that one.
But you asked me to create an island, and you tell me what you want it to look like, and it's gonna look like it. I really love terraforming, and I love surprising residents with a new island with custom terraforming on it.
There's something wonderful about the plasticity of the terrain, isn't there? Just such a sense of real power to be able to make it rise and fall to your desires.
Or to make it look like my boss.
Are you that good? You can do custom-made sculptures out of Linden terrain?
I actually can.
Yes, she does. I hate terraforming, so I tend to call it terror-forming. I just put into chat, and I just leave that all to her. That's her thing.
I think we all want to know if there's a Flickr collection of pictures of some of these
Yes.
of your works, Dee.
Well, I have not put one together, but if you Google terraform me, you'll see quite a few of them.
Terrific.
Actually, the one terraforming work that I did is over there by the Linden Estate Services region. You'll see a region over there that has a bunch of little white stars in it. That was I did that. That was the only time I ever did any terraforming work. I was like, okay, that's enough. I've had my fill.
I think anything that gives me the image of me pushing a bulldozer around is probably to be avoided.
There's something to be said, too, for the platform that allows so many different skill sets to come in here. There are different set of skills to be a terraformer versus being a builder or creating avatars.
Mm.
Yeah, certainly. Like I can tell you for myself, right? I'm great with, textures, texture modeling, both flat and 3D, being that I did clothing work. I'm decent at building. I can't script. Nope. No scripting.
That's interesting. What about animations? Does that need too much scripting?
Probably not, but I'm also not an animator, so I can't really speak too much to it. I'm more of a consumer on that side of the house.
Right. So, okay, we talked about what aspects you love most. I was wondering what you find most challenging.
Directed at me, I'm assuming?
He'll say working with me.
Well, so challenging has a negative connotation to it. So I'm going to say I have a positively challenging job in the fact that I like dealing with passionate residents who like to come and or submit ideas, suggestions, opinions.
So that happens?
It does. It does. And I invite it and stuff because, I like to see all sides of the story. If somebody is upset and, we change something in Second Life, right? We change a policy or if something, feature-wise breaks or something like that. And a resident's really passionate about why, that particular feature maybe worked a certain way and we changed it. And, maybe we didn't realize we changed it because it broke, or something like that. I really do not mind. And I like to see, that feedback, help me understand and I want to listen to that feedback as to why it impacted that individual the way it did. And I usually like to dig into it. And sometimes that can be challenging, when you get into the fire with somebody and, they're basically painting a picture of, dismay and unhappiness around this particular thing. And it takes a certain level of, constitution and stuff to be able to go in there and say, okay, I understand and see what you're saying and try to talk through it with them and get all of the information you need and come away with something useful so that, I can go and, again, try to affect and change the product positively for the better to correct possibly what's happened. So I think that's probably the most challenging aspect of my job, is I have to listen to everybody and take all of that in and then distill it and then try to affect everything around me for the good.
There are probably very few industries that have such a direct communication, a dialogue between the manufacturers, if you will, and the consumer, if you will. Here that dialogue is quite literal and it goes on 24 hours a day practically.
Yeah, we are very, very lucky and fortunate to be able to get in with you guys and our residents and such to be able to talk to everybody directly. There's a lot of companies that have no open door type policies, or they, try to make sure that you're subjected to only one channel of feedback, through maybe a support department or something like that. But we take a lot of information from all different directions, and I think we're very fortunate for having that.
And Dee, you interact with residents every single day here. Is that something that makes your job more inspiring, more motivating, perhaps is a better word?
Oh, absolutely. I love working directly one-on-one or one-on small groups with residents, helping them solve whatever problem they may be having or making a good situation even better.
Is there a sense at the lab that this is something that makes the platform stronger, makes it better to have that direct dialogue with us as residents? It's hard to imagine a conversation like this taking place, in any other industry, to my knowledge.
Facebook, yes.
Right.
Twitter, yes.
Yeah, I think so. I think it allows us to be, very flexible and also reactive when necessary to change. And stuff. It's kind of like, Kate out in the audience just said, it's a good thing the policy changed that the Lindens can talk to residents again. I actually never had to stop. I was very fortunate because I've always been in some line of support where I've always had some sort of interaction and dealings with residents throughout. And there was never a real policy to actually stop us from talking to residents. I've
and you already had that.
Talking.
You had that going already as a business owner as well. You were already in a dialogue with residents in here.
Right.
A question there. I'm not sure if Cure is asking one of you in particular. I'll just put this out there and let either one of you run with that. The question is about the focus, the demographic, I suppose. Are you planning to reach out to an intellectual corporate community or continue to maintain the primary push toward preteens, teens, and young adults?
I'm distilling the question a little bit. Are you planning to reach out? I don't think we've had a primary push towards preteens, teens, and young adults. The minimum age to use Second Life is 16. We've always been really open to inviting, everything from corporations, businesses, educators, nonprofits, on down the line, of course, personal users. I think that's what makes the bulk of Second Life up and as interesting as it does, all the time. And so I think that's the best answer I can give to that question because I don't understand, unfortunately, the second half of the statement there, because that's not generally been, I think, our primary focus.
To the first half, there is an ongoing intention to continue to bring organizations, be they educational, nonprofit, corporate, what have you, to continue to reach out to them and bring them into the platform.
Yeah, we do get contacts frequently from various schools and universities, nonprofits, etc. One of the most recent ones and most interesting ones lately that I have actually personally been responsible for dealing with is the Michael J. Fox Foundation. We've got a very good relationship with them, much like we do with the American Cancer Society, and that's a relationship that we're fostering as a business with them.
That's fantastic.
It is, yes. And you've done some great work with universities. I mean, there's some. There was a bit of a knock a few years ago when the price structure changed, but now it's changed back. And there are some great university and educational builds out there.
Yes, there are. There's a lot, and it's so hard to kind of even pick a few out that are even my favorite to name them. Dee, I don't know if you've got some favorites that you've worked with most recently. She actually works with them more frequently on a day-to-day basis than I do now. I usually kind of deal with the larger ones when they bubble up.
Dee, that's something that you'll have seen really evolve and grow. When did you get a sense, going back to 2003, that this is going to be something that isn't just about individuals coming in here and a user-defined content, but it will be something that organizations and institutions and charities and nonprofits of all kinds will be able to come along? Was there a moment when you sort of said, "Aha, this is going to be bigger than just individuals"?
Yes. Okay. So there was this one day I had just moved and had a really strange setup for cable TV in my condo. Just trust me, it was very strange. And I couldn't figure out what needed to plug in where because different outlets had different channels literally coming through them. And so another resident, good friend at the time, built a set. He built my TV, my cable box, my VCR, my wall, the outlets, and then showed me with different colored cords, basically, exactly what to plug in where. And I went, oh, what a great way to learn how to do this. And that's when I knew that that there would be education in Second Life.
That seems very cool. Right. Grail has asked a question for Patch. You said you're concerned with making decisions that may affect all of Second Life. Can you speak about that decision process in creating new experiences? How is the decision for fundamental change to operation experiences made in your group and the larger organization?
Yes, sure. So a lot of our decision making, actually, I take down to the entire team. You could almost maybe call some of it democratic. Some of it's very fluid. Whenever we are, going down the path of conceptualizing or scoping a particular project, I involve everybody around me and my entire team to work on what it is we are going to roadmap going forward. I take everybody's information and ideas. We tend to do these kind of brain bashing sessions. That's what I call them, because we will, like, for example, Saffia, you know the extent and the scope of PaleoQuest because we did a show on it.
Yes.
The design document in that session that we had before PaleoQuest even became a reality was 39 pages long. And that came out of several multi-hour sessions that the entire team sat down and went through the entire design process of the experience from start to finish. And we then took that document and it basically became a living organic thing that we followed from start to finish of building that entire experience out. Now, the current project we're working on, just as another example, is even bigger. And it is even longer, and it is actually multiple documents because we have different segments and sections to this particular project between, well, I can't really tell you, but you'll see. There are definite distinct, we'll call them zones, between the different sets of regions that are involved, and each one has its own storyboard, its own plan, and project scope. So we basically use the entire team to work through that process, from myself all the way down through the moles to QA, et cetera. Everybody that's involved it pitches in at that stage, and then we work through it and we do the project and we get it done. Then as far as any decision making regarding the larger organization, it's very much the same sort of thing, and this is I think the case in a lot of different places in the lab. I surround myself with a great team. I've got Ebe, and I've got the rest of our core leadership and such, and we sit down and we discuss whatever project or initiative we may have at hand, and we go through an iterative process of making decisions on where we want to take things.
That sounds very cool.
Evie talked about that when he was here with us on Tuesday. In fact, exactly that. He described it as being one of his favorite aspects of the job, is that interaction with all of you.
Yes. I love sitting down in a room, whether it's virtually or sometimes if I go out to the San Francisco office in person, and we very much have that capability to, wherever we are, come together and get through some sort of decision very quickly, as a matter of fact, typically, because we all work very well together.
Someone has asked a question about Oculus Rift. If Rift will be fully functional anytime soon for Second Life. Shade, I don't know if Patch can answer that. I know that.
I know a little bit about it. There is some work going on a viewer. I'm surprised I don't know if this question came up with Ebbe the other day, but there is some work going on with a viewer. I don't know when it's going to come out, but it is getting updated. I'm not sure where it is, though. That's pretty much all I know about it, because viewer development isn't necessarily in my wheelhouse, so I can't really speak a lot to it.
I'll said soon.
I actually just got my Vive. Sorry, I didn't. Oh, sorry. I'm like kind of excited. I was like, I actually just got my Vive the other day, so I'm gonna go try it out. So we'll see.
Fun. Well, Mary Unknown 7 has posed a question that I'm not sure any of us are really qualified to go into in much detail, but we'll put it out there for the same. Is the SL currency virtual only? For the people who don't know and maybe don't have a huge number of years in world, can you just talk a bit about that, about this sort of wonderful, unregulated experiment in global economy that this thing represents in here?
Yeah, so I am definitely also not one of the folks on our we have a team of wizards. I really think they have some sort of magician's power or something like that, who are really, really good, and they're experts on the economy and such in Second Life. So again, out of my wheelhouse, the Linden dollar is a virtual token. So it in itself isn't money, but unfortunately I don't profess to be an expert on it, other than it's a really cool tool that has enabled a lot of capability within Second Life. From a merchant, land rental, product exchange standpoint, the marketplace and stuff. Our entire virtual economy thrives on having that ability to make those micropayments and stuff like that back and forth between everybody, and it's a great thing that we have it.
And to state the obvious, there is a translation between those Linden dollars and actual dollars. How does that? Do you have a sense of how those wizards do their is it magical formulas, or they're waving wands around in the air to figure out how that actual exchange rate fluctuates over time? It doesn't fluctuate by very much. In general.
No, we've been very lucky. When you consider the Linden dollar economy against the economies at scale with other fiat currencies and world currency exchanges and such, things have been extraordinarily stable for us.
Especially today.
Yep, I think we're very lucky. Yes, I've been trying to follow throughout my busy day the events unfolding over the pond there. And I hope everything's okay. We're
bringing Saffia tea and cherries every hour in the hopes that we can
calm
her
down.
From imploding. Yes.
Yeah. But they have a really good grasp on everything that's going on. We know exactly what's happening, when it's happening. We watch it very closely, day in and day out. That those guys, they're on top of it all the time. I do get pulled into some of those discussions because, from my perspective, I'm watching land. And I'm watching the land economy and how that's impacting everything. And of course, that has a natural tie-in to the Lindex and the Linden dollar as a currency. So that's where it gets into my wheelhouse specifically. So I do get pulled into the conversations there sometimes.
A question there for, I'm not sure if this should be for Dee or for you, Patch, that kind of draws together that economics and land, because can you explain about the new grandfathered land, what it is, what it does, and is what you're doing with it proving successful?
It is proving successful. It's not new grandfathered, but it is the ability to buy your private islands monthly maintenance fees down to the same rate as a grandfathered region. Okay, so if you go and buy a brand new island today, your monthly maintenance fee is $295 a month. Right. But if you buy it down, then your monthly maintenance fee is $195 a month. You're saving $100 a month. You know you're going to keep that island for 10 years. and trust me, we will still be here to support you on that island in 10 years, then you've saved 10 years of $1,200 a month. Do the math.
That is a great option.
Yes, it costs you $600 to do it versus saving $1,200 a year.
And I think most of us do like to think in terms of those long-term, plans and goals for what we do here in Second Life. So that's
you'd only need to keep that island for 6 months, and you'd be saving.
Right.
You'd start saving.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
I think most of us here are very glad to hear that, in fact.
Yeah, and there's always the secondary market too. Well, we refer to it as the secondary market, but the market of where you can go and perhaps acquire a pre-owned region from another resident, and you may also be able to save a little bit of money additionally that way because the resale rate on a pre-owned region is generally less than what the normal setup fee is if you can find them.
Yeah. One careful owner hasn't crashed too many terraforming things.
Do you have a lot of people like Joe taken advantage of that option so far? Does it seem to be someone that people are really appreciative of?
Yes, it does. A lot of people have taken advantage of the buy-down opportunity.
Which speaks to the perhaps the long-term view that so many residents do have, planning to be here and doing what we're doing and more over the long haul for another 13 years at least.
Yeah. As a counterpart,
You've got it. Yeah, no, you've got it. I think we both have the same one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, as a counterpart to that, are there any plans to do anything with the mainland? I mean, you were talking about building super new project off the coast of, but are there plans to do anything with the costs of mainland, especially abandoned land, perhaps? Have you got ways of dealing with it?
Well, there's two questions in there. There's the question around costs, and there's the question around abandoned. Abandoned land is something that we are always addressing. We constantly are going out into the regions, reworking them, reselling land, especially when it's requested. In fact, we prefer to work off of requests. If you are hunting around on the mainland and you see a parcel of abandoned land sitting there that is unloved and you really, really want it, there is a special support case type that you file that comes directly to the team, and you will either get potentially Dee, Guy, Bianca, Kira, somebody from the team that will actually go out there and work with you on getting that parcel that you would like. There's certain requirements around some of that, which can be found in the knowledge base. The actual, rules around like what we can sell freely and not do have to come up from time to time, because there are sometimes some cases where people may have a claim to a parcel that's stronger than somebody else, and in fairness we of course want to do the right thing, and then there's times when there is no claim or a fair claim to a parcel, and we will actually auction it, and that's where our land auctions come from, is through those types of requests. Somebody will come to us and say, hey, I want this parcel here. It's the entire region, so I really have no true ownership claim here. Can you go ahead and auction it? And we'll put it up at auction. So that's where that stuff comes from. The rest of the land that does sit out there that's abandoned, we do have general plans in the works for longer term care and maintenance. We are also, as part of the other project that's coming around the corner here in the future, we'll be addressing some more of that directly, and this is in the form of the various welcome areas and such, and I don't want to necessarily again reveal too much ahead of time, but we'll just say that there's a lot in the works, and you're going to see a lot of new stuff out there.
People are going to parse the transcript from this conversation very carefully, I suspect, to see if...
They are. I've actually dropped two very specific hints, and I'm not going to say anything else.
Yeah, I thought I caught that. There was a follow-up on the question of the broader economic question, if you will. I'll throw this one at Patch. You guys get some free Lindens or what? Working over there, you got like a need a Linden, take a Linden jar or something like that?
No. So here's one of the cooler things about our jobs that we get to do, and that is we also get to participate in the economy. We basically, out of our land sales, for example, the Governor Linden collects all of the funds, right, that all of our parcel sales are coming from. And on an as-needed basis, like if I need a new spectacular wardrobe or hair or something like that, the Linden dollars are graciously given to me from the governor, and I get to go shopping. So we give that back. We get to reciprocate that back into the economy and spend that back with the residents and stuff and the creators to maybe get my new outfit or something. So we actually enjoy participating and doing that back with the residents and stuff like that. It's something that's very, very rewarding for us to do.
CB, I think I've seen some of that too, just between you and me.
I was going to ask Dee a question, which comes from that. Dee, you have so many cool avatars. I've seen you kind of little cute fairy. I've seen you rather chilling small skeleton. And now you've got this really cool warrior woman look, complete with ferret. Where do they all come from? Do you...
Well, most come from the residents. Most of them I either find them first on the marketplace or just when I'm out running around, I'll see somebody wearing something and go, oh, gotta have it, I've gotta have it. So I check who made it and I go check out their store and I buy it. Because I do. I love the tinies. I love the teeny tiny fairy and my half dead beauty. That's the one that's half skeleton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something that perhaps less of a technical specific nature and just more kind of in a general philosophical sense. I wonder, we talked about this also with Ebby on Tuesday. There's a loud vocal minority, I would say, that cries that this digital revolution that we've been enjoying these last 30 years has made us all more isolated, made us less connected to one another. But I would argue that it's quite the opposite. But maybe that's just because of our unique perspective in the world that we share here. What do you see when you look at that critique? Is there something fair about that critique, Dee, or are these guys missing the big picture?
I think they're missing the big picture. I have friends all over the world now, not just the ones down the street. I'm much more outgoing, a much greater percentage of the time because of Second Life.
Because of your avatar, your persona in Second Life. It's made you more outgoing, would you say, in RL?
Absolutely. It's given me more confidence in real life too.
Wow.
I can agree with that. I generally and always had been very introverted. In fact, I remember one of my very first public speaking engagements with Linden, and even in front of residents and stuff in the world, I was absolutely terrified. And I can say that being able to leverage Second Life virtually as a platform, as a speaking medium in front of large groups of people and audiences and stuff has actually also helped me in real life distill that fear. I would have never gotten up in front of the entire company and addressed everyone in the same room at the same time in the past. Now I have no problem doing it.
I can tell you a story about one of the residents who I know who's a leading poet in Second Life and also runs various poetry workshops. For years and years, she suffered from kind of crippling stage fright and couldn't perform her poetry at all, which is, for most poets, actually performing your poetry, reading your poetry is an important part of being a poet, and she just couldn't do it because her stage fright was so bad. She found when she came in Second Life that she could perform it here because she was behind the avatar, and that led her to build up confidence to go and perform in real life, and she sort of overcame her stage fright by that. And not only that, at the last general election in the UK, she stood to be an MP. She was up for election as an MP. So she had to go to public meetings and speak at public meetings and put up with being heckled. And she coped. She did it, and it was great, you know. And that really came from Second Life.
That's great.
I think that's something that most of us as residents could relate to, and I think that the whole purpose of these talks, it wasn't just to see if we could get spoilers out of Patch about new platforms or new plans. It was to really seek to get a better human understanding of who you guys are as Lindens, and I think that these conversations and your candor is much appreciated, and that too is something that I think is very unique. You wouldn't expect, I think, the level of candor that Patch and Dee and Abby bring to these conversations. Just talking, we're not getting talking points. We're not getting some kind of pre-chewed and digested and regurgitated statement. What we're getting as human beings really equally sort of looking at this thing and being equally awed by it. I feel like you guys are as enthusiastic about it as any of us as residents are. And of course you come from that resident background.
That's great to hear, and I'm really glad that we can be a part of it because it means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to the team and everybody in general. That is probably one of the things that I think is really unique, again, and not only about our ability, like we mentioned earlier, of being able to even just do this, but also being able to not do this in some scripted fashion or format. In fact, I think I can legitimately say that I don't think I have ever had a speaking engagement with Linden as a Linden that had ever been fully scripted. And somebody just asked me a question about the ears. Oh, they are Nezumi ears. So there's a little bit of a story there. So we can dig back again against my alt and stuff. My alt was Nico. Patch is Nezumi. Do you get it? The cat and the mouse?
That's terrific. Saffia, how much time do we have?
Well, it's up to Dee and Patch. If you can stay a few more minutes, we could perhaps see if the audience have any more questions.
I've got probably about 10 more minutes because I know we were kind of behind and over. But yeah, I can probably hang out about 10 more minutes.
That's great. We've
Joe wanted a spoiler. I'm wearing one.
What? Hold on.
Mind blown.
There you go. There's your spoiler.
Yes, completely blown. I adore the ferret. The ferret is just great.
Does he have a name, Dee?
Yes. His name is Sparkplug.
Yeah, Midnight says Major Burns. I think that's
The day ferrets took over the world. I love shoulder pets and things. I'm so looking for Bento so I can have, a pet that can do lots and lots of things, running around me or beside me or over me or whatever.
Well, we'll have to see what some of the next new starter avatars bring with them when they come out. Oh, there's another one.
Oh.
Right.
So in case a lot of people, just because, you never know, but that's another thing, the LDPW and Team of the Moles and stuff work on is the new starter avatars. We had our very first big release post mesh starter avatars at the end of last year. We have another phase of new starter avatars that are coming out right around the corner very soon. And we are already working on the next phase, which won't have bento in them, but the phase after that will.
Ah, that'd be cool. That will be so cool.
You guys had a chance to get around and see some of the displays and the presentations here at the 13B?
We have. We actually... I guess one of the things that we kind of get to do as Lindens is we kind of get a preview and get to see stuff early as it's still going up, and we usually come through and tour the regions a few times throughout the course of their setup, and then usually the day before opening or the day of opening we will wander through. And as a matter of fact, I was wandering around today before the show. I spent a couple of hours before I actually kind of got my day started this morning. Just kind of taking a look at everything. It's really, really cool. I love seeing everything out there. In fact, it's kind of fun because I will sometimes ping a resident or something, in an IM and say, hey, I really like your setup here. It looks great. And I don't know why, but it always seems to be like a normal thing that like I get stuff sent to me. So I'll be like, hey, I love this, like little marionette or something like that. And I get like 3 of them. So it's awesome.
Someone's asked a question, which is a lot of residents complain that people who rent at the mainland don't care about the general look of the mainland to make it harmonic. They place their skyboxes within the vicinity, which ruin the scenery and such. Can we hear you, Linden's opinions on the mainland aesthetics?
Yeah, that's actually a really great question. So, long time ago, far, far away, the mainland itself was kind of viewed as the Wild Wild West. We took a kind of dystopian, non-interference stance with what the residents wanted to do with the mainland in general, in the hopes that, and in some places this was very successful, that communities would form, bonds would happen, people would come together, and you would have larger tracts or swaths of areas of the mainland start to kind of gel together and become these unique areas. I personally can tell you that that's where I started. The area of the mainland that I started on actually was where I originally had bought one of my very first parcels on the mainland. First Land was the program, I believe it was called at the time. And I got my first 512 square meter parcel, and I was hooked from that moment on. And I bought more and more and more. And the next thing I knew, I had surrounded myself with 30 or 40 people that I knew and enjoyed spending time with on a day in and day out basis. And that grew to being a 6-region area of the mainland.
Wow.
So that was kind of why it was left that way. From that point, Linden, and this would be even before my time as a Linden, went and they put in other, installations of, kind of structured areas, like Shermerville and stuff that, kind of had these kind of neighborhood themes and stuff. And those were super popular. They were structured. They kind of resembled real life where, you had the streets and the sidewalks and, the planter boxes and trees and stuff, and a lot of people like that too. So knowing that, we took that and we did things like creative projects such as Bay City. And Bay City's been a hugely popular community mainland project that I can tell you that our next project may have some learnings from directly involved in it.
Repeat that? Can you repeat that one more time for us, please?
Did I break up?
Just a little bit on the operative word there, I believe.
Oh, so yeah, we took a lot of our learnings from Bay City, and the community and the structure of the regions and such, the model that made Bay City so successful, and we're rolling that into our new project.
Interesting.
Yeah, land in Bay City is super expensive, but there are some gorgeous university sort of theme communities run by the residents. I think of the East River running down to the Sea of Fables.
Yep, and you've got places like the Blake Sea and all of the pop-up, not even just like the attachment of like the United Sailing Sims regions that are bolted onto the one side of the Blake Sea, but you've got all sorts of pocket communities that comprise, a region, a parcel, or multiple regions that border that whole area. So again, it was more about, when you think about the mainland as a whole, leaving it open and flexible for the residents to take and do something with it as they desired. And yes, that has the sometimes the consequence of, you run across things like skyboxes and disjointedness and things of that nature. But I'm still very pleased in general with how that product itself has endured the course of time.
And isn't some of that incongruity visually, isn't that somewhat part of the charm of it too?
Could be. Could be. A lot of people are, like, this is so cool, because I can run across here and, there's either, interesting things to see. There's old stuff. There's new stuff. There's this entire blend of different things that you can run across on the mainland. It's really unique, and I think it's one of the accolades of our past and Second Life.
That's fantastic. Yes, I one of the things I like to do if I have some free time, is to take one of Giovanna Klenfair's mainland tours. Just hop in a pod, and she does these tours going around the mainland, and at points they will convert into a boat or a submarine even, and and she'll take you to see some fantastic things. And I found things like a 50s diner with a garage next to it and a whole little community built around that, just in one point on the mainland. And I love that. I love discovering places like that.
Dee, do you get to do that still? Get out there and wander around and explore the way undoubtedly you did, we all did, on those first heady days when we first found Second Life?
Yes, I do. I do. I won't say every day, but several days per week. I'll set aside time, specifically schedule it for myself to go out and explore and just see what's there.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and I'll do the same. There are times where if I find a hole in my day, which is really rare, or sometimes even before I kind of get started for the day officially, my day tends to wind up a little later because East Coast versus West Coast and stuff. But I will pick a place and start going down the road, and I will just kind of check out various areas, and more times than not, I end up finding myself fixing things along the way. I'll be like, oh, this is kind of out of place, or that could use a little bit of help over there and stuff. But I love it. I have fun doing it.
Well, this has been a terrific conversation, and I know Patch has to be going. I think the transcript, the text transcripts that will undoubtedly be created from the videos that we're shooting here today, and a big thank you to Angie Mornington and Pet Love Pet Shop for preserving this conversation we've been having here today. Saf, when will that be likely to be made available? When can people share that and catch it, and then come back and parse every single word Patch and Dee have said too?
Well, Inara, I think, has been making her own transcripts as well. Inara Pei has been putting transcripts up on her blog, Living in a Modern World, which is wonderful. The videos, Pet has been brilliant. She's been working overnight on editing them so that they generally go out within 24 hours, so that then Ziola gets them and she puts them up on the Second Life website.
That's wonderful.
So it's been, it's really been great that we've been able to get these out.
Pat Love in back channel chat is saying, looking at a 24-hour turnaround for that. So that's how long all the conspiracy theorists have to get their magnifying glasses out and pour over it with all of the enthusiasm that one would bring to a new Dan Brown novel, perhaps looking for what we might additionally glean about what's coming next for this wonderful, wonderful world. What a great contribution the two of you folks make, Patch and Dee Linden, every day to our enjoyment of this world as residents. And we really do thank you both for your time and just for your honesty and your candor here with us today. It's just wonderful.
And your enthusiasm.
Yes, thank you for having us again. And it was our pleasure. And happy 13th, everybody.
Happy 13th.
13th.
Yes, thank you all for this week-long celebration of my birthday. Thank you for having us.
Least we could do. Lucky 13 indeed. I agree, Star. Mm. And the grand finale.
If any of you are still around, we have our last talk of the day in half an hour. And that's going to be a panel of Second Life bloggers talking about Second Life blogging. And that should be pretty interesting. And there's comedy and dance after that, because there's always something happening here in the auditorium. Mm. And tomorrow we've got trio of great designers at 11 a.m. Callie Klein, and then at 12 p.m. Eliza Weirwright of Patron and Maxwell Graf of Rustica.
Nice.
And then a Meet the Community at 2 p.m., which is going to feature writers. There's going to be various people who write and who run writing events, and so it goes on.
That's a lot to look forward to. Favorite the website. Check out the calendar there. There's a wonderful interactive calendar there. You can find out whatever your time zone in the world is. You're going to find something going on to bring you back over and to enjoy yet another activity here at SL13B. And with that, we should just say thank you again to our friends and yours, Dee and Patch Linden. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Okay. I'm going to